I'm really not surprised. I took the test and landed in the middle, and it's kind of like where I've been gauging at least my own, my own anecdotal experiences here in a city that is right smack dab in, the heart of the Midwest is, yeah, I think that where you're seeing um, really kind of fiscal conservatism paired with progressive social issue people or where it's kind of at. They're not like let's shut the government down, but the government should run a tight ship and be efficient and so on and so forth. But I don't care what my neighbor is doing as long as it doesn't affect my happiness or the happiness of the community or their
Right.
rights. And in America's struggling. I think that's one of the big struggles that's going on too now. Is we've got this generation, kind of is represented by the Tea Party, that has really been a part of this. What I consider, they built up the prison industrial complex. They built up all these really kind of massive systems that are in many ways institutionally racist.
Right.
And there's this, there's a pushback against that, and and then they're seeing. So I think that's where a lot of this, where we're actually going, is and then we're seeing are these cultural reactions to the reality, and I think it's actually great. The Americans are becoming more American. We're a free people. We were founded by people like Ben Franklin, who is definitely not a teetotaler, um,
Right.
and and so yeah, this whole like 20th century. America's still trying to find its way out of, you know, oppressing minorities, and so a lot of this is representative in that, and you know,
Yeah, it just shows that too that there's so many different progressive priorities that America is actually more progressive than I think that our politicians give it credit for.
much
Now,
more.
there's actually an amazing stat that we had seen, and I've referenced it a couple of times, is that the average politician thinks that we're as conservative as of one of the most conservative counties in like Mississippi or Alabama. So that's where our politicians think we are, but we're actually much more progressive, at least on social issues. Now, like I said, the majority of the American center um, is for energy independence, and that's fine, you know. But it kind of disturbs me because we have this whole problem of climate change that's kind of breathing down our necks here, and in order to continue drill baby drill, that's not really sustainable and that's not really good for the environment. So I'm actually against the majority of the left, or I'm sorry, of the center at this point. I'm left of them, which is why when I took the test, I'm a bleeding heart. So I'm to the left on environmental issues, and I think that has to do, I think, with sort of the false, I say, it's sort of that narrative where you give equal airtime and equal credence to things that just aren't supported by facts, and you don't see a lot of climate scientists, you know what I mean, on TV, but you do see a lot of climate denial,
Hmm.
and they try to present it as both equally valid when it's not. It's not really supported by the facts. But
Well, it all goes back to money because if you're going to transition the American, every single person carries 4,000 pounds of metal with them everywhere they go economy, and the energy intake, the massive energy intake that requires.
oh right, of course.
There's a lot of people who are going to be big losers, and those people are going to be the highway lobby, um, the car manufacturers, it on and on down the line. So I think we've got to find a way to transition to either that they're not such big losers, or they can actually participate in creating public transportation that is viable across America. And so
Absolutely.
yeah, we got to take those interests instead of having them be competing interests, because they're always naturally going to fight against, and they're entrenched interests too. So they all got
Hmm.
tons of cash that progressive um, places don't. So I think being able to, that's one of the problems, is a lot of times we don't think, oh, how do we change things? Well, how do we help the people who are maybe our political opponents in these things? How do we give them something like to say, oh, you mean I can get a little bit out of this too?
What kind of surprised me, like I said, is that most people in the center believe that respect for minority rights has gone way overboard. In general, harming the majority in the process, and that was 63% of Americans think that way. And just 1 in 4 support immigration reform that would provide a pathway to citizenship for those who came here illegally. So, I mean, you know, there are some very important issues that the American Center is very much on the side of Republicans. But when it comes to most issues, I think that Americans are fundamentally. I mean, this shows that Americans are, for the most part, fundamentally progressive.